So Kalle Sauerland, the promoter of Chris Eubank Jr., has said that he believes the Conor Benn fight will still happen. And if and when it does, it will be bigger than ever. Well, I guess this is on the premise that controversy sells. If the fight were to go ahead, let's say next year, there would be a massive outcry from the British public. There would be people saying, this is a disgrace. How can you be putting this on? This is disgusting. And of course, there would be newspaper headlines and lots of people talking about it. But that's exactly what Kalle Sauerland is saying, right? He's saying that the outrage, basically, this is my take from it anyway. This is what he's kind of implying. The outrage from the controversy will actually make it bigger than ever. As much as people say they're disgusted, they're still going to tune in to watch. You know what I mean? It's like Mike Tyson towards the end of his career, when he was disgraced, quote unquote, through biting a part of Holyfield's ear off and trying to break people's arms in the ring and all this kind of stuff. Even when he went to the UK to fight Lou Savarese, he hit referee John Coyle accidentally and dropped him and didn't stop fighting when referee John Coyle was trying to stop the bout. So, and of course he was coming out making all kind of statements outside the ring. So there was loads of controversy surrounding him, people saying he should be banned for life and this, that, and the other. But that just made people want to watch him even more because it turned into car crash TV. People wanted to see what would happen in the ring if Tyson would flip out and bite somebody again or try to break somebody's arm, you know? As much as people condemn it, it actually attracts people that they want to see something crazy and out there. And that's what Mike Tyson became at the end of his career. People said he was like a circus, basically, at the end of his career. So something, obviously this is not as extreme, but something similar could happen maybe if they make the Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight again next year. The outrage could actually play into their hands and maybe Conor Benn comes in as the villain. You know, he might have to wear that cap at this point. I think trying to win the public over is going to be very, very difficult, regardless of what evidence him and his team come out with about contamination. I think a lot of people have just made their minds up and they're not interested in hearing any evidence or seeing any evidence that would actually exonerate him. They're not interested in that. They want to hang him high at this stage. There's a baying mob and they're just out for blood for their own personal reasons. It's not really about Ben. A lot of the time, when it comes to things like not just boxing, you go all the way back to the days of the Roman Colosseum. It wasn't just about the fact that people had been trained to hate the people who were having to go up against the gladiators and getting killed and going up against wild animals. It's not just the fact they've been trained to hate them. It was a manifestation, you know, in terms of people watching those horrible games, as they called them. It was a manifestation of the anger, the frustration that so many of the audience had in their own personal lives. And so they wanted someone to take all their aggression out on, or they wanted to see someone get hurt and punished, someone who represents, in a metaphorical sense, the problems in their own lives. I think this is a lot of what goes on. And this is why in a sport like boxing, you get people who in their day-to-day lives are very civil and all this kind of thing. But when they go and watch a boxing event and there's a guy who's wobbling around in the ring and the fighter who they're supporting is about to knock him out cold, they're cheering him on, wild-eyed, baying for blood, right? Think about that. It's like this unfulfilled desire to commit acts of violence, this suppressed desire. They're living at that point almost vicariously through the boxer who they're supporting. And so that kind of thing, again, could actually be heightened if Conor Benn was to get in there, let's say next year, and fight Chris Eubank Jr. They will be absolutely baying for his blood because they then feel like they've been given the green light to really let all of their inner rage and anger about the world and frustrations about their own lives, they've been given the green light to let that all out and focus that rage and that hatred on Conor Benn because of the fact that he has this PED thing hanging over his head. So I think that possibly Kalle Sauerland might be right. That it would be bigger than ever because of the things I've just described. But again, that's assuming the fight happens. That's assuming Conor Benn can actually fight in the UK, because he said that he will never have a British Boxing Board of Control license again. Maybe he said it in the spur of the moment and he'll backtrack on that and have a British Boxing Board of Control license. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, you can fight in the UK under a different commission. We obviously saw that with the David Haye, Derek Chisora fight, which was the Luxembourg Boxing Commission that sanctioned that bout. So we have to see what happens with Conor Benn. But obviously, we all want a resolution. We want to find out what's going on, whether he's... Because at the moment, all Eddie Hearn's talking about is the situation with the WBC. Because, of course, Conor Benn's first test, where he tested positive, was in the WBC clean boxing program. The second test was the VADA testing that he signed up for, specifically for the Eubank Jr. bout. And Eddie Hearn's just talking about the situation with the WBC, because they're apparently investigating and deciding whether to give Conor Benn a ban from the WBC rankings, right? But he's not talking about, as an Eddie Hearn, what's going on with the British board. As far as I know, and many other people the same way, they can't ban a guy who doesn't hold a license with them. So he's going to have to reapply for his license before they can issue any ban or sanction or whatever. So is he going to do that? Or is he just going to, again, not fight under the British Boxing Board of Control ever again? Will they then have to have Conor Benn as a foreign fighter? Because with Tyson Fury, for example, he apparently doesn't have a British Boxing Board of Control license. I don't know how true this is, but I've heard several people in interviews say this, that Tyson Fury is registered as living in the United States or wherever. And so when he fights in the UK, he fights as a foreign fighter. And therefore, he doesn't need a British Boxing Board of Control license. Is Conor Benn looking to do the same thing? You know, I'm sure he's got plenty of money. Obviously, he was raised with money because of his dad. Maybe he's got properties in other countries. And obviously, he's lived in Australia for a lot of his life. Maybe he's got properties in other countries, says that he's a resident there, and then just comes, you know, to wherever. If he's going to fight in the UK, goes to the UK, fights there as a foreign fighter. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below about this Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. situation. Do you think the fight will happen next year? And if it does, do you concur with Kalle Sauerland that it would actually be bigger than ever because of all the controversy? Controversy sells, people. Regardless of what you think about Conor Benn, whether you want to condemn him, hang him high, throw him under the bus, word it however you want. If he fights Eubank Jr., a lot of you guys who are angry, you're going to tune in to watch. And of course, part of it is, well, I've already explained some of it, but the comeuppance. If he receives, let's say, a 6-month ban, 12-month ban, a lot of people will say, that's not a long enough ban. He needs to be banned for life, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so they will be cheering Eubank Jr. on to punish this guy for the fact that he hasn't received enough punishment in their eyes. You see it? So you can see the appeal of the fight. You know, that's how boxing is. It's like with Mayweather. Mayweather understood, even Eubank Sr. understood this to some extent in his professional boxing career. Mayweather understood that there's no such thing as bad publicity. As long as people are focusing their energy on you and their attention on you, it works in your favor if you know what you're doing. And so Mayweather deliberately would antagonize people, and he would play, you know, I don't even want to use the word RACE. He would use that card to poke other groups in the United States, and then he would fight fighters from those groups. Do you know what I mean? Like the De La Hoyas and the Maidanas and Robert Guerrero, and he'd fight on Mexican holidays and stuff like that when he's fighting Mexicans. This was all done deliberately. Now, whether Mayweather masterminded all that or whether it was Al Heyman, I mean, you tell me. Either way, whoever was the mastermind behind it, this is what Mayweather used to do. He would get people so angry, not the fighters, not just the fighters that he was facing, but their fans. And not even just their fans, whole groups, like entire ethnic groups. He'd get them so angry with him, they would tune in. Even if the fighter that he was going in against wasn't really that well known, because it was Mayweather and so many people wanted to see him lose, they would tune in anyway. I mean, these guys often hadn't heard of this fighter from their community prior to him facing Mayweather. But they all jump, oh yeah, he's gonna get him, he's gonna do him in, this is gonna be the one. And of course it never was the one. So yeah, let's just call those types of fighters who play the bad guy matadors. That's what Mayweather was. He's like a matador. And not only was his opponent the bull, but his opponent's fans also, symbolically would be the bull, right? Metaphorically. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. And whether you admit it now or not, a lot of you would tune in for a Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight next year. Let's be real. If you're tired of the biased narratives and mass censorship on mainstream platforms, and you want to be part of a community of critical thinkers who love free speech just as much as you do, then come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide variety of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&As, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high quality MP3. We've also got an Element group where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Unlike Discord, it has full end-to-end encryption, is decentralized, and is 100% censorship free. You can also send voice notes as well as much larger audio and video files than you can on Discord. So come and sign up on Patreon. There's no contract, there's no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. So I'll see you over there. I'm out.